What's going on, guys? Pixcam20 back in with a brand new video. We are here at Red Bull Ring for the daily race B in our Aston Martin Advantage, as that was the most popular car at the moment when we were doing this race back on Monday. But switched over now to the Corvette and the Viper. I've actually seen a lot more people using those cars, and that's actually been running a lot faster than the Aston Martin. But for this race, we decided to stick with the Aston Martin just for because it was on the top of the charts, and with daily race B, you really don't have to worry about tire wear, so we could just put out the Aston Martin as much as we can on the hard tires and just try to basically run qualifying laps with cars around us and try to get a good finish here, as we are starting in fourth place with a 129.6 as our qualifying time. So there's really not much that has to be said about the race. It's just pushing as much as you can, as we do have 5 laps on this race. Again, starting on the hard compound tires, as that's the only compounds that were given to us. So let's see what we can do here before we jump into it. If you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that is enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into these races. Jumping into the race now, we again are starting in fourth place, as we are starting right behind an American and 2 Brazilians. So it's going to be very interesting here, as we do have A+ drivers in this lobby, and we got a mixture of A and B ranked drivers. So going past the start finish line for the first time, as we got our 3-2-1. We're heading down the straightaway now to the first corner, as we break right before the 100-meter board. Heading into turn number 1, clip our apex. We get kind of a bad exit here, as you can see the top 3 are starting to pull away from us. I've been having a lot of trouble going into turn number 1, even during qualifying. I just lose so much time there. I haven't been able to get it correctly done, but you can see how much time we actually lost here, as we now going out of turn number 3, leading us to the second straight, and the Viper actually gets taken over by the American, and he is able to promote himself into second place. So going into turn number 4 now, we break right before the 100-meter board, and we actually have a peaking 5th place Argentinian trying to get underneath us, but he backs out of the move there, as we get a little bit loose coming out of turn number 4. Heading into turn number 5, we still got the Argentinian behind us, but nothing really happens, as we now jump into lap number 2. On turn number 1 again, just struggling for pace here, as we get a really bad exit once again. We have the Argentinian all over our back bumper. He's in the slipstream of us here, taking a peek onto the left-hand side of the car. We're going to defend the inside here as we head into turn number 3. Defending as best as we can, as we break very, very late. We're able to do so here, but he makes an easy cutback as we get very, very loose, make contact with him. And the Argentinian is able to make an overtake on us now, as we get demoted back into 5th place. Right behind him now, as we get into the slipstream. So heading into turn number 4, we're trying to take a little peek onto the inside, but the Argentinian blocks us here, as right behind us, the car gets punted out. We get very, very lucky that we don't get involved in that incident, and we just set our sights again on the Argentinian, just try to stay with him, not let him get as far away as he can, so that we can at least try to make or reclaim the 4th place position, as the top 3 are now starting to pull away from us and the Argentinian. So a good little gap between us and the 6th place driver, because of all that crazy incidents, as the Argentinian gets very, very loose coming into the right-hander. Not exactly sure how he got that loose. Maybe he just clipped the rumble strips there and just upset the car, but easy overtake that could have been done right there if we were close enough. But luckily the Argentinian was able to hold himself together, correct the oversteer and whatever was going on with this car, and he was able to hold off 4th place now, as we jump into lap number 3. Going into the right-hander now, we take a peek onto the inside, as we are making an overtake here, taking an attempt right here, make a little bit of contact with the Argentinian, but we both don't really do anything here, as we get just a little bit loose coming out of that corner, and we have to relinquish our 4th place spot. But we are in the slipstream now, as we head into turn number 4. Can we make a move onto the outside here, as we're going onto the outside, trying to make the move on the Argentinian, reminiscent of Lewis Albon. But nothing crazy happens here, as he was able to hold it together, and we fall right behind him going into turn number 5. And unlucky for us, as we were unable to make the overtake. But all that fighting has invited the Canadian of 6th place to catch up to us. So it's now turning into a 3-car battle for 4th place, as we get a little bit loose going to the left-hander. Going to the right-hander, does the Argentinian keep it together? Yes, he does. So unlike the lap previous, he was able to correctly go over to that right-hander, and he didn't lose anything there, as he gets a little bit wide going to the final 2 corners. We take a little peek, but a little too optimistic for us to try to make the overtake, as we're staying right behind him now on the slipstream, heading down into the straight. Going into lap number 4 now. We're moving on to the inside. He covers us on the inside, so we're going to switch off to the outside, brake right before the 100-meter board. And he makes a little bit of contact with us as we're just trying to get any which way to try to get around him, as we are now starting to get pressure from the Canadian. 3 cars abreast for 4th place here as we're making a move onto the outside, making a move onto the inside, clipping the grass. We actually have 6th place taking a peek onto the outside. We're going 3 wide as we head to turn number 3. We try to outbrake the Argentinian, but he is able to hold it together there as we actually get pushed out a little bit. And the Canadian was able to overtake us now as we get demoted back into 6th place. So really tough racing here, but clean, fair racing as we do lose a position. We're trying to make a move onto the inside of the Canadian. Brake as late as we can as we do get the spot onto the inside of the Canadian. We're able to make the overtake as he tries to make a cutback on the exit. We're shifting off to the left-hand side, but we get a better exit than the Canadian, and we're able to hold off our 5th place now as we set our sights back on the Argentinian. 1 lap to go. Can we catch up to him here as we jump up a little forward into the race? Jumping now onto the 5th and final lap. Heading into turn number 1, we're trying to just get as close as we can to the Argentinian as he pulls all the way to the left-hand side, tries to use all the track space here, but he's got to be very, very careful, as if you do overstep the guidelines on the track space, you do get a penalty here, as luckily the Argentinian did not get the penalty. But we now have to set our sights on the challenging 6th place driver as he tries to take a peek onto the inside going to turn number 3. He backs out of there, and we're able to hold off our 5th place position for the meantime as we head a little bit more forward into the race. So going down the straight here, fast forwarding into turn number 4, we have a little gap from the Canadian right behind us, but we're starting to get a little bit close to the Argentinian. We just get a little too eager onto the throttle, and we end up spinning ourselves out. Nobody's fault there but our own, and we lose 2 positions or 3 positions there as we get the motor all the way back into 9th place. Heading to the final corner, we're going to try to make a move onto the inside of the Mercedes. He gets very, very loose off the final corner. Side by side as we drag race to the line, the Mercedes is able to hold off his 8th place position, and we get a terrible finish there as we make our own mistake, get spun out by ourselves, and shift all the way back down into 9th place as we now jump into our 2nd race. So on the 2nd race here now, starting in 6th place, we're starting right behind the Colombian and a few Americans and the Brazilian in 1st place as we now head into turn number 1. Starting right behind the Corvette here, we go into turn number 1 as we have an Aston Martin all over our rear bumper. Again, getting a really bad exit out of turn number 1. I haven't been able to get it together. I try so many different techniques to try to go into turn number 1, and none of them have been working out for me, as that is where I lose majority of my time now as we're heading to turn number 3. Going to turn number 3, we defend our inside here as the top 5 are just all gaggling all over the place, just moving every which way, trying to block their position. And you can actually see that allowed the Brazilian to just pull away from these 4 cars ahead of us now as we head into turn number 4. Going to turn number 4, we're defending our position from the Aston Martin, trying to take a peek onto the outside to make a little bit of contact with him, and that actually disrupts him a little bit as he's now getting pressure from the car behind. So jumping into the middle part of lap number 1, this gaggle of cars, the 4 of them right ahead of us, are just going all over which way, as one of the Aston Martins actually gives another Aston Martin penalty, and he's got a 1-second penalty here. As we head into the final 2 corners, going to the inside of the Corvette, we take a desperate lunge there. As honestly, I was not trying to do that, but we're now going side by side into the final corner. We make a little bit of contact, and we're able to hold off our position here as they're now getting challenged by the Aston Martin onto the inside. Side by side now as we head into turn number 1. Brazilian's able to make the overtake on us as we back out of here, try to avoid making contact with the rear bumper of the Brazilian, and he's able to overtake us easily heading into turn number 1. And we're going to stay right behind him on the straight, see if we can get a good run, try to challenge him going into turn number 3, as 4th place does have to service penalties. So let's see if we can also take advantage of that as we're now heading into turn number 3, taking a little peek onto the inside, but the Brazilian gets a okay exit. He gets a little bit wide, and we're going to see if we can try to pull around him here as the car ahead of us has to service penalty. We shift onto the outside so we avoid making contact with the car that had a service penalty. We're able to make 1 position now as we're going onto the inside of turn number 4. Are we going to be able to hold our position? No, we're not, as the Brazilian pinches us down, and he's able to get a better exit on off of turn number 4 and hold his position now as we jump a little forward into the race. On lap number 2, well, finishing up lap number 2 now as we head into the final corner. We're just trying to take a little peek onto the inside of the Brazilian. He's going to cover us here. Stay into the slipstream as we head into lap number 3. We move all the way to the inside. Try to see if we can make an overtake going into turn number 1, but he's able to hold us off again as that outside just is really overpowered when it comes to the corner exits. You can easily pinch down the car on the inside, but luckily the slipstream is able to help us out and aid us to try to make an overtake as he's putting on his right blinker. Tries to invite us to the inside, but closes the door on us as he holds off the inside going to turn number 3. He actually over brakes it and overshoots the turn. We're able to overtake him now as we go out of turn number 3, and we are now promoted into 4th place now as we head into turn number 4. And let's see if we can try to pull away from him and that gaggle of cars right behind him as we now head into turn number 4. Going to turn number 4, we just outbrake ourselves just a little bit as he actually makes contact with us, pushes us out wide, and we actually get punted out into the dirt, and we're losing 4 or 5 positions now as we get demoted back from 4th place into 9th place. And that is not what we needed here, as we already had one bad race and finished in 9th place, and now we were looking to have a really good race and finish in a good position, but now we get pushed all the way back into 9th place after overshooting the corner and then getting punted out by the Brazilian coming out of turn number 4. So just dramatic scenes here now as we are now getting pressure from the 10th place driver. We're going to have to fight here to try to catch back up to these gaggle of cars ahead of us, but luckily they are nose to tail, so maybe they can start fighting with each other, slow each other down, and me and 10th place can catch up to them and try to just make up a recovery job here and try to make up as many positions as we can now as we're heading down into lap number 4. Jumping into the first corner now, 10th place is taking a little peek onto the inside, but thinks twice about it, and we're able to just get an okay entrance and an okay exit coming out of turn number 1 as we hold off our 9th place spot. Checking in the rearview mirror now as 8th and everybody else is starting to pull away drastically. We're taking a little defensive line, but not too defensive, as 10th place does take a little peek there as one of the cars right behind him almost takes out 10th place. And we're able to hold off our spot there, as luckily 10th place did not try to make an overtake on us as we head down the straight now, leading us into turn number 4. So a little more forward on lap number 4. The cars ahead of us started fighting really hard, and you can see now this is the result as they actually cost themselves this little gap that they had with me, and now we're able to catch up to them as we come into the final 2 corners. Taking a little peek on the Argentinian, blocks us there a little bit as we're going into the final corner. We got to just back out of there so we avoid making contact with him, but luckily again one of the cars ahead of us has a penalty, so when we head into the penalty zone that should affect him a lot. We should hopefully be close enough to try to make an overtake, as now another car gets a penalty. So 2 cars ahead of us have a half a second penalty. Can we make up 2 positions here as we're coming out of turn number 1 on the final lap now as we head down the straight, leading us into turn number 3. We're staying on the inside as we're not getting pressured by the Brazilian in 10th place. He's trying to make an overtake on the outside as we're trying to make an overtake on the Argentinian, but we have to back out of there as the Argentinian covers his spot on the inside, and the Brazilian gets a great exit coming out of turn number 3, is able to overtake us, but the 2 cars ahead of us have to serve their penalties. What's going to happen here as we have 2 cars very slow on the straight as we head into turn number 4. Taking a peek onto the outside of the Corvette, the Brazilian actually punts out the Argentinian, and the Argentinian goes into the dirt a little bit. The Brazilian goes into the dirt, and we're able to overtake the Brazilian now as we're taking a peek onto the inside of the Canadian. A lot of drama unfolding here as we're heading to the middle part of the final lap. Taking a peek onto the inside of the Canadian, he gives us the space, but he gives just a better exit than us now as we have a few more corners to try to make an overtake, but it's going to be a very desperate lunge here as we're staying on the slipstream, heading off into the right hand, and it's going to lead us into the final 2 corners. Are we going to be able to do anything here now as we're going to try to break right before the 50-meter board, hit our apex as best as we can? The Corvette stuck right behind the American as we try to take a peek onto the inside of the Corvette, back out of there as the Corvette makes contact with the Aston Martin, and we're going to finish this race where we finished off in the race previous in 9th place, as we were unable to do a recovery job after being punted off on this race, and just very unfortunate because we lost so much driver rating points, but at least we didn't lose any safety rating points. But it's just the name of the game here at Red Bull. It's just so difficult to try to make overtakes, especially with the hard compound tires with 5 laps. I feel like with this race you need a little bit more laps just because of how short the laps are, and just the nature of how many overtaking spots you have. So finishing in 9th place again for these 2 races. I mean, it's a really fun race because it's just a lot of drama that can happen, especially because it's just a quick little sprint race. But again, just haven't been the best for me. I haven't really been performing the best around this track, but hopefully I can get a little bit better towards the end of the week so that I can actually start finishing in better position here. But until then, we're just going to see what we can do as the days progress towards the end of the week. So I hope you guys found this video very entertaining. If you guys did, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.